Trustee Bory is trying to log back in. He lost connection, so he should be back in shortly.
Okay.
Does he have to call in? Okay, I'll give you a call-in number. Call in. 1 minute. 1 minute. 1 minute. The stenographer lost power whopper in St. Croix, so she has no internet.
Is recording?
So
I'll leave.
yeah, but she wants the guest to do. Can she call the Zoom number?
Yeah. Or here also.
Do you think it's better for her? Okay, why don't you call 693-3922? Okay? Plus, as you know, it's being recorded also. Alrighty?
Hello, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Mr. Nibbs, if you were speaking to me.
Call in at 693
693
3922.
3922.
And remember, it's being recorded also. Okay?
And the stream.
Okay.
On the stream, yeah. Right. Okay.
Okay.
Hello?
Morning.
Hello?
Hello.
Morning.
Hi, morning.
Just letting you guys know I lost power on St. Croix, so I got kicked off the internet. So just following you by phone. Is there a way I could see it on the phone? Anyway.
You can do it.
I didn't get the question.
What's the question?
I was. Yeah, I was all set up on my computer, and then power went, so I lost everything. I'm calling in by phone.
Yeah, the same thing at, why don't you, same thing happened with the stenographer in St. Croix. Maybe we need to call in on the AT&T. Why don't you call, you know the AT&T number?
No.
Okay, it's 888 278 0296. And your code is 720 3429. Let me check that back. I was doing it by memory. Let's see.
Mr. Nibbs, you need the AT&T access code?
No. Access
Oh,
code.
okay.
Just trying to
I have it.
Given the last. Yes, 3249. 3249. That's 720 3249. Okay?
Okay, so the number is 888-278-0296.
I'm going to give you another number to call in, Mr. Tori. Okay?
Okay, and I'm also trying to see if I use my touch to work.
Okay, fine. Yeah, just 888-278-0296. Your code is 720-3249.
Okay, thanks.
Welcome to AT&T teleconference service. Please enter your access code. To join the conference, there are 1 participants on the call, including you. You are joining your conference as the host. For a menu of available commands, press *#.
Oh, boy. Okay, so Tori, call in at 888 278
278
0296.
0296.
Code
Uh-huh.
720
720
3249.
3249.
That's
I
correct.
do apologize.
No, that's okay. That's happened. That happened.
Because usually my internet stays on, but I don't know what happened, but it knocked out the internet altogether.
Yeah, the same thing with Mr. Barry in St. Clair happened, so no problem.
What's Mr. Barry's title? What is he?
He's a trustee. He's a new trustee.
Oh, okay.
Nellon,
Okay.
Nellon Barry.
Yeah, I know who he is, but I didn't know that. Okay.
Okay, fine.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, I lost power too. This is Cohen. I don't know if it's an old island blackout.
So call into the calling number. What's that? Yes. Who's this?
Mr. Nibs, you said the number is 888.
No, I'm sorry. I probably did it wrong. Pocket number. What do you say, Mr. Torrey?
No, Mr. Nibs, this is Leona. Is the number 888-278-0296?
Yes, ma'am.
And the 7203249 is the code, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, this is Yvonne Satori.
Yeah, okay. You got it.
Yeah. I was in the process of getting the attendance, and I got as far as but I'm sorry to pronounce your name wrong. Valsina.
Valtina Flaffy, Deputy Director, Division of Personnel.
I'm sorry, I didn't get the last name.
Take it around.
Kwashi.
Did you spell that, please?
Quasaie.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Torrey?
Yeah?
You have are you completed? Are you finished?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Are you finished with the attendance?
I don't have power, but my internet is bad.
Your internet is back.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever happened, it happened with broadband also because it cut everything out.
All right, can see you.
Yeah, because usually I don't lose internet, so I don't know what happened. And Mr. Bowery and I live on the same side of the island, so.
Let me check and see if I got back my internet.
His name is Bowery,
Yes.
not Satori.
What I would recommend, Mr. Torrey, is that you mute your Zoom and just stay on the line in case it goes out again.
The only thing though is with the phone, it's not as clear.
Oh,
That's I get what you're saying, but okay.
If you can.
Okay, okay.
Just remember it's being recorded too. So.
Maybe I'll stay on the phone, and if it goes off, then I'll
Yeah. Okay.
unmute the phone.
I'll send email the audio afterwards anyway.
Okay.
Email the audio. Yeah.
It's recording.
Are we ready?
1 second.
Okay.
All, including you. You are joining your conference at...
Okay.
All right. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to call to order.
Good morning.
I'd like to call to order the Employees Retirement System of the Government of the Virgin Islands regular meeting of the Board of Trustees to order. Roll call.
Trustee Callwood.
Present.
Trustee Bowery.
Present.
Trustee Clendenin. Trustee Clendenin.
I'm present.
Trustee Cohen. Trustee Cohen. Absent.
Present.
Present. Trustee Liger.
Here.
Trustee McDonald. Absent. Trustee Smith.
Present.
Chairman Calendar.
Present.
7 present, 1 absent.
Okay, so we have a quorum. All right, so we have made provisions for comments from the trust from the retirees.
Mr. Chairman, I do have a letter from a retiree. I wish to probably
Okay.
record, please. Can I read it into the record? Letter dated April 6, addressed to Austin L. Nibbs, Administrator CEO. Dear Administrator Nibbs, I have not always been in agreement with some of your opinions. Nonetheless, I write to express our appreciation to GRS for its consideration in mailing out very early retiree annuity checks in advance to April 15, 2020, so that on said date, we'll have a financial outlet. While my wife and I have set aside a rainy day fund for such unknowns as what we experienced with COVID-19, the future is not an exact science. What probably most of us fear most is not fear, but rather the fear of the unknown. We wish you and your family and employees of GRS to be safe in your going and coming, for GRS can be considered frontline responders. May God continue to bless us with his everlasting grace. Sincerely, Captain Al M. Donister, Sr. That ends.
All right. What date were those checks sent out?
Jeremiah, could you respond?
The checks were sent out March. I have to look at March. I'm going to the calendar to look at the date. Around March 26th also, the last day that we worked, a full staff, we decided to hurry the process along and get them done. And we spent some late nights in getting it done, and the payroll staff did it. So I was happy, and they were happy that they were able to do it.
So the end of March, they send out March and April 15 payments?
The checks.
The checks, yes.
Checks, but the ACH was done the regular time. The checks were dated April 15th.
Oh, okay. I got you. Okay. Trustee Jenny, any other question? All right. Secretary's minutes for the regular meeting of March 26, 2020. Need an approval of those minutes. Any addition, corrections, deletions?
Mr. Chairman, before you proceed, I had a correction to the minutes on page 3. There was a reference to comments I made, and the minutes read that I said that the board has the legal authority to do that reduction. I don't believe that's a correct comment. It should be that the board did not have the legal authority to do it. So I'd like the record to so reflect.
On page 3?
Yes, of the minutes itself. The paragraph that starts with Board Counsel Pedro Williams, if you're looking at it.
The second full paragraph.
Yes.
Yes.
5 lines down.
Okay, okay, I did see that. Okay. I thought you had changed your mind. Okay.
Okay, one other real minor correction on page of the minutes. On page 5, Roman numeral 10X, Treasurer's Report, it had an italicized, a motion was made by Trustee Khan, C-O-H-N. So you just need to add the E in there.
Just letting you guys know if I got power back, so I'm gonna try to rejoin via Zoom.
Okay. In the chairperson's report, and I said it was corrected someplace, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 6th line down, which says between 2018, it should read between 2010 and 2018, the system was underfunded by more than 1.7 it's 1.7 million, 1.7 billion, it's a B.
Mr. Chairman, the Secretary's report has not been approved.
I know, that's what we make some corrections.
It's still on the Secretary's report or the...
Yes.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yes.
Okay.
So now if there are no other corrections, someone can make a motion to accept them with the corrections.
Mr. Chair, I move to accept the corrected secretary's minutes.
Okay, and I'll second that.
Trustee Colwood,
Yes.
Trustee Barry,
Yes.
Trustee Cohen,
Yes.
Trustee Liger,
I wasn't at that meeting, sir, so I will not vote.
Trustee McDonald, absent. Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Callahan.
Yes.
Chair 5, yes, 1 not voting, 1 absent.
All right, those minutes have been passed. We also have the minutes of the special meeting which was held on 8 April 2020. Corrections, additions, deletions? None. We need a motion for approval.
The chair make a motion to approve the board meeting, the special board meeting on April 8th, 2020. Approve the
Okay,
minutes.
now I'll second it.
Trustee Colwood,
Yes.
Trustee Barry,
Yes.
Trustee Cohen,
Yes.
Trustee Liger,
Yeah?
Trustee McDonald, absent. Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Callahan.
Yes.
Chair, 6 yes, 1 absent.
All right, those minutes have also been approved. Communications and correspondences.
Okay. Letter dated March 27, 2020. Dear Havenside Mall tenants. We understand these challenging times. The lack of cruise ships and customers and closure of most businesses will undoubtedly have an impact on your business. As your landlord, we at GERS, at the Government Employees Retirement System, GERS, understand your plight and want to work cooperatively to minimize and manage the economic fallout from COVID-19 virus. As such, at its board meeting on March 26, 2020, the GRS board considered your numerous requests for rent abatement, reduction, forgiveness, etc. As you know, the board in the past has generally responded and provided rent abatement reduction as the situation warranted. In its deliberation, the board pointed out that the GRS is facing its own economic challenges as the system anticipates insolvency by 2023 or sooner based on the trending economic climate. The GRS must continue to be mindful to balance all of its competing interests of its retirees, active members, and tenants. There are no easy answers, and it is difficult to satisfy the legitimate needs and desires of all of the stakeholders. Accordingly, in response to your request, the board has decided to grant a 2-month deferment of rental payments April and May 2020 without penalty and interest to all tenants. Going forward, the board will continue to monitor the situation, will reassess all of the factors on a month-to-month basis, and will act accordingly. It is our intent to keep you informed and make timely decisions so that you, in turn, can make your own business decision. We wish all of you well. Keep safe. We are in this together. We'll work with you to address all of your concerns. Sincerely, Austin L. Nips, Administrator. Copies to GRS Board of Trustees, Pedro K. William Esquire, GRS Board Counsel, Cathy M. Smith Esquire, GRS General Counsel, GRS Oversight Committee members, Anthony Hartley, WICO. Letter dated March 31, 2020, Austin L. Nibbs. Dear Mr. Nibbs, I hope all is well, that you, the board, GRS board members and staff are well and staying safe. On behalf of the Havenside Mall HMA Association, I would like to thank you and the GRS board for meeting with HMA via teleconference on March 23, 2020 and listening to our concerns. We recognize that for all of us, these are uncertain times, and with each day circumstances change, and we seek answers to new questions that surface. I am sure that this is compounded by GRS assuming direct management of the Havenside Mall from WICO. Rest assured that HMA is ready to assist and ensure a smooth transition. The Havenside Mall tenants received on March 27, 2020, the GRS board's decision to defer rent for April and May 2020. We appreciate the swift response to the board to our request for a rent abatement or reduction. While we acknowledge that GRS is facing its own economic challenges, we, the Havenside merchants, are also facing the compounded challenges of no cruise call and no customer traffic. It is well recognized that over 90% of our customer traffic is dependent primarily on the customers brought by the various brands of the cruise lines. On March 13, 2020, the 2019-2020 cruise ship season came to an abrupt end when the Cruise Line International Association announced the suspension of cruise ship operations from U.S. ports of call for 30 days. This week, the primary brand of the cruise lines that visit our islands, Royal Caribbean, Carnival, Norwegian, Disney, Holland America, and MSC, have announced further cancellation into mid-May. Furthermore, major carriers are reducing and or canceling their flights into St. Thomas. Spirit Airlines is reducing its flight schedule by 20 to 25% in April and May. American Airlines has consolidated its flights to the territory with one to each island. Delta has canceled flight into St. Thomas, and Silver Airways is institution flight cancellations. The combined impact has further reduced the amount of tourists on St. Thomas, our potential customers. Let's not forget that all hotels have also suspended accepting new guests to the properties as well. The US has now surpassed all other countries around the world with the most cases of COVID-19. With the peak of COVID-19 yet to come on the mainland and in the US Virgin Islands, these cancellations will only further until the virus can be controlled and travel is deemed safe. As of March 30, 2020, Governor Bryan extended a stay-at-home order until April 30, 2020, and heightened the enforcement of essential businesses that should be open. This pandemic is an unprecedented event that has caused a lot of uncertainty for everyone. Given the circumstances as described above, the rent abatement is not a financially viable option for HMA members. We have had no sustained customer or cruise ship call traffic since mid-March. We have lost 2 prime months of the cruise ship season and the upcoming summer schedule, which was already looking bleak and non-existent. As of this date, there are no cruise ship call available scheduled. The reality is that HMA merchants are not generating the business activity to meet what is a deferment implies will be addressed at a later date, as there is no customer traffic. Thus, the HMA is requesting that GRS revisit their decision to rent deferment and instead, 1, provide a 50% rent reduction for the month of March and rent abatements for April and May 2020. This approach would be consistent with the approach of major landlords on St. Thomas. And 2, review our collective situation by late May for a policy determination starting June 2020. We look forward to hearing from GRS board at its earliest convenience and encourage everyone to be well and stay safe. Regards, Ram Mipuri, HMA President. Email dated April 14, 2020. It's addressed to Mr. Nibbs. It's in regards to letter to Havenside Mall tenants dated March 27, 2020. Good afternoon, and hope this email find you, your family and colleagues healthy and safe. Regarding your letter and deferment of April and May rent, though we appreciate the offer, we feel that a waiving of rent is needed. I have spoken with other tenants and they feel the same. Little Switzerland and Jewel have long been standing tenants, and we have always paid rent in time, on full, and never late. Our revenue has drastically gone to zero, and we are still recovering from the last 2 major hurricanes. We are in this together, and we need further assistance. For your information, we have been granted a suspension of rent from 90% from other landlords. I would like to propose that rents be waived until the USVI is back open and accepting cruise ships and hotel guests. If not, we and other tenants will be forced to take additional steps. Please advise, and warmest regards, Tom, Little Switzerland, Vice President, Store Operations. Memo from Office of Management and Budget, Memorandum number 09-2020 to all departments and agency heads from Jennifer O'Neill, Director, Office of Management and Budget, date April 15, 2020. Request for all outstanding obligation. The Office of Management and Budget is formally requesting a comprehensive list of all departments and agencies outstanding debt to all of the following with no encumbrances: local off-island vendors and creditors, employees, workmen comp owed, and government employees retirement system GERS. Please detail amounts owed as of March 31, 2020. Also adhere to the format of the template provided by indicating the fiscal years. Input the amount in the appropriate columns, the funding source, and reason for non-payment. The template will calculate the totals. Please respond to this request by Tuesday, April 21. If you have any questions, please contact your budget analyst. We requested and there were no encumbrances. Letter to the members of the Government Employees Retirement System. The Board of Trustees of the Government Employees Retirement System, GRS, met through electronic means on Wednesday, April 8, 2020, to consider the decision of the District Court of the Virgin Islands awarding the GRS an additional $63 million in unpaid employer contributions, including statutory interest and penalties, but denying enforcement of the 1984 Consent Decree on Actuarially Determined Employer Contributions, ADEC, which exceeds $1.6 billion. The court took the position that a consent decree did not contemplate the ADEC. The board disagreed and directed its lawyers to seek review to that portion of the decision in the U.S. Third Circuit Court of Appeal. The Third Circuit Court, which is located in Philadelphia, hears appeals from all federal court decisions in the U.S. Virgin Islands. At the time, the board authorized a separate action to enforce At the same time, the board authorized a separate action to enforce the edict in the Superior Court of the Virgin Islands. We note that as a witness during the trial, the former Commissioner of Finance, Valdemar Collins, testified that the GVI owes the GRS the edict. The government of the Virgin Islands has already appealed the $63 million decision, and presumably an additional $40 million the GVI has already paid under earlier court orders in this current action, contending it owes no more to the GRS. This action by the GVI, expressly supported by the governor, exemplified a continued pattern of non-payment of retirement costs, which has led the GRS to the edge of insolvency. In rendering judgment against the GVI, Judge Cortes Gomez left no doubt what the evidence in the case established. There is overwhelming evidence that in this case the GRS is on the verge of insolvency. The financial calamity, by some estimates, is projected to occur in 2023. Judge Gomez continued, restoring unpaid contribution identified herein give long-suffering, and understandably anxious government employees several things they deserve. One, a demonstrable financial commitment by the GVI to make them whole. Two, hope that they will receive their retirement benefits. And three, hope that a repository of the retirement funds will be supported. In exercising its fiduciary responsibility to the members and beneficiaries, the board took note of the resulting grim economic forecast that insolvency of the GRS would occasion by reducing the gross domestic product, the GDP, of the Virgin Islands by 25%. The board also expressed its regret that the governors and the legislature since 2006 have failed to take serious steps to avoid the impending economic crisis. The last piece of correspondence we received yesterday is dated April 21st, 2020. Dear Mr. Nibbs, I hope all is well with you, the GRS board, and members and staff. I am sure you are well aware of the recent news that the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, in a bid to prevent the spread of COVID-19 on cruise ships, has issued a new directive to extend the no-sail order for at least the next 100 days. As of today, Carnival has already announced further suspension of sailing until June 26, 2020. The federal government will be issuing new guidelines and requirements for the cruise industry to protect members from any future spread of the disease on board their ships. The requirements will also require destination ports to put infrastructure in place should there be a need for sick passengers to be dropped off during the cruise for treatment. The cruise line will work with destinations to build such facilities. Now is the time for the Virgin Islands to prepare itself for cruises to return to St. Thomas. The soon-to-be completed Main Street and waterfront project will give St. Thomas a much-needed facelift, but the biggest project that still hasn't been addressed is the dredging of the Charlotte de Mala Harbor. This project, which was due to start early March, is seeing further delay. There will be fierce competition from all Eastern Caribbean islands for the cruise calls. The Virgin Islands will need to step up and deliver on the long overdue improvements to our infrastructure. If St. Thomas cannot accommodate those megaships, the cruise lines will have no trouble finding other destinations. A prime example of this Carnival newest ship, the Mardi Gras, now delayed till January 2020. This ship would dock at Havenside. Currently, Carnival has not committed any calls for this ship to St. Thomas, pending the dredging. It would be a shame to lose this ship due to unfinished projects. This is just the first of many ships that may skip St. Thomas because they will not be able to come into our harbor. It is the HMA's request that GRS engage the Virgin Islands government and the VI Port Authority to expedite the dredging of the harbor. The Virgin Islands needs to act now to remain relevant as a leading destination in the Caribbean for those mega cruise ships. Also, it would be greatly appreciated if you could provide us contact information for your appointed representatives for more related matters. A monthly newsletter would be a good idea to keep everyone updated with current happenings. Thank you, yours sincerely, Ram Mupuri, HMA President. That ends. That ends the reading of the communication and correspondences.
Mr. Chair, I have a question in regards to one of the correspondence. Hello?
Proceed.
Mr. Nib, in regards to the HLA, those merchants, have they applied for those stimulus packages?
I can't tell you that. None of them have
Applied for the
discussed it.
stimulus packages, then we're going to have to come back to the table in regards to their rent abatements and so forth.
Well, I can't tell you. I can ask, but I'm not sure.
I think we need to keep a tab on that, Mr. Nib.
Well, how are we going to know if suppose they lie to us? Unless we ask SBA?
Yeah, I think we're probably going to need to do that because it's the same thing with Port Authority, and that's what they have been telling their merchants as well.
Yeah, I think we did discuss that with them, and in the letter we kind of insinuated that, but we'll follow up with them and encourage them to. I'll respond to Mr. McCurry and I encourage them to go and seek assistance.
I would also suggest that if they insist on rent abatement and in fact the board considers and grants that they would have to sign some sort of document attesting to the fact that they did not receive any of those stimulus funds or paycheck protection, etc. And of course, should we find out later on, the document would say then they're obligated to reimburse those funds, etc., etc. So there are ways that you can do it.
Yeah, I don't think we should agree to an abatement unless they're satisfied us that they've done everything else to try to fix their situation. I mean, what we offer them is in effect an interest-free loan with the principal payment not set. That is in effect an interest-free loan with a deferment in the date for starting to pay back principal. So, I mean, that's the federal government, which has an open checkbook. That's basically what they're offering to private sector. They're offering them soft loans, which is what we are offering. So, I think we need to get some understanding, and I agree with you, Tony Williams, that any abatement should be conditional upon client statement exhausted all other options for trying to adjust to the reality.
What I would do is probably next week, I would probably send out an invite to them to do Zoom and have some further discussion on this in regards to their seeking financial assistance. And I would listen to the recording of what Attorney Williams said and probably let them know, what we're thinking up front. Because I think we need to be very forthright and honest with them. So I'll try to see if I can get something in next week, maybe a 1 hour Zoom meeting or something like that. If the board wants to attend.
I don't know that under the current board situation, decision that we need to do anything. All we've done is deferred April and May payment. What I was suggesting that because they then came back and said they want more, to the extent that the board may even consider that and at some point grant something, then we'll need to go to that step. But as it stands now, I don't think the board needs to do that because they're still obligated to make the rent payment, which we've simply deferred it.
I think Mr. Nibbs needs to get back to them so that they understand. We understand what our position is. They have written to us asking us to change our decision, and we need to get back to them. But I don't. My position on this is that we ought not to move towards deferment until we are satisfied that they've done some more to take advantage of other opportunities to address the financial situation that they find themselves in.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, this is Kathy. I agree with Trustee Bauer. We need to let them know in advance that if there is any abatement, we're going to require them to show us that they've exhausted all other remedies. And they need to know that so they can now apply for those loans.
I mean, I don't think we should rush to an abatement decision at this point. I think we should clarify that what we offer, which I'm sure that they understand, that what we offer is an interest-free loan. We haven't decided when we're going to start paying back. I mean, we could adjust that, but an abatement, it's in my view it's down the road a little bit until they have demonstrated that they're taking other steps to try to address the situation.
All right, any other comments?
Well, one last thing, Mr. Nibs. Do you have any idea what this last correspondence where, and I think it's the little Switzerland one, where they said they'll be forced to take other steps or something to that effect. Do you know what they were referring to? Have any idea?
Close.
Huh?
I assume they mean closure of the. I mean, asking for an early out of their lease.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm assuming. That's what it meant. I don't know what. That's either they're gonna close and ask us to forgive the, do some arrangement with the lease.
I think the same thing along with Sunny.
Okay. I guess they'll have to do what they think they have to do in their own best interest.
Let me ask a question in case the question comes to me. 100 days puts us to July. We have given an abatement through May. So what I'm hearing is that come May 31st, so the first meeting in June, we will be making other decisions.
All right.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I mean I was gonna ask them in the beginning. Like we have to revisit it again. That's one of the things
okay.
I was recommending that we revisit it when that time is up.
All right.
And I think it's fair because by then you'll know whether they receive those stimulus checks. I mean those stimulus loan or grants. I think some businesses already have been receiving funding.
Okay.
Do you know if they have any operations going at all? I mean, obviously going to be drastically scaled back, but are they totally closed or are they?
All merchants are closed except Smoking Roosters takeout, I guess, in the afternoons. Also, Virgin Haven, I think, is takeout in the afternoon up to 6. We close at 6. They must close at 6 and be off the premises by 7. And also, Deli Deck, I think they were serving takeout breakfast, but all the other, and well, the doctors are open. Some of the doctors are doing work. The professional offices in Building 3, dentists and doctors, they're still doing some work, but all the merchants, restaurants are doing takeout. Tap and Seal is closed. So the place is actually a ghost town during the day.
Then the deferment that we offered applies to all of those, even those are still open, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But the governor said they can do takeout, and we were trying to limit it in a way because they wanted to go until 8 o'clock, but the security felt that we should stop it at 6. They must be out to the premises by 7, lock the gates.
Okay.
Okay, any additional questions? Okay, then we'll move on. Chairperson's report. I have no report. So we can go to the administrator's report.
Good morning. On March 30th, I was a guest on the Alda Donistar radio program. That same day, GRS WICO transition meeting was held. On April 6th, I attended a meeting with Mr. Banzal, the CPA in St. Croix, regarding the filing of the last franchise tax, the last corporate tax return and franchise tax report for Carambola. On April 8th, I attended a special board meeting of the board. On the 15th, meeting with the senior staff requiring billing to sponsors, billing to the plan sponsors, and that's an offshoot of the court proceedings that the consent decree. On that same day, I met with GRS WICO transition meeting. On April 17th, I had a joint meeting, oversight committee meeting with the Haven Site Management. In regards to our retiree applicants, as of April 30th, the pending retiree applications are 147, mainly for reasons of missing NOPERS or retirement NOPERS or missing NOPERS or payment of employee contributions and the like. We have continued to bill for employer contributions that have not been received for the periods that in the court order. On refunds from October through March, we completed 413 cases. Of those 413, 284 were regular, which are non-vested members that left the system, for a tune of $4.3 million. The total from October through March is $4.6 million. Death benefits, we have completed 40 cases from October through March, and the amount is $1.4 million. 70 cases are pending. As far as the life certificates, we have sent out the second batch of life certificates 6 months from 1/31/20. Since 3/1/2020, we have received 48 validated, 12 were suspended, meaning that we held the checks because we did not receive response within that time, and 15 are pending receipt of the documents. And these receipt of documents are primarily from the Eastern Caribbean and international. For duty, non-duty disability, we sent out 235 letters to retirees. 155 were validated. 80 receipt of life certificates pending, meaning that we are pending 80 out of the 235, which is a good, they're responding. As far as our annuity payments, as of April 15, 2020, we had 8,728 retirees. Cumulative amount paid from October 2019 to April 15 is $138.5 million. The number of retirees added to the payroll from October through April 15, 201. Number of retirees deleted from the payroll October through April 15, 158. We know that the April 15 gross retiree payroll was $10.7 million. Our loan portfolio is obviously being reduced every month. As of 3/31/2020, we had 3,564 units of personal loans still active. Our mortgages, we had 91. Let me say that the personal loans all will be expired by 2024, 2025. The St. Croix office building, we have really no major issues. The roof at the building still continues to be pending. I know that it's less than 10 years. It has not reached the 10-year mark. It's getting there soon, so there's some issues with the roof and we need to look at that warranty. So that's pending due to the current situation. Maintenance of the St. Croix, the generator, we had to do a repair. The relay had to do the starter relay had to be repaired, and the monthly service was completed. And also a leak from the water heater was repaired. The projects, we're still working on the dumpster closure project. Was awarded to Brothers Construction, 50% deposit was approved. The project hopefully will end by the end of April. Security guard building, which is in need of repair. The design was completed and one proposal was received and 2 are pending. We also request estimates for the security doors installation at the GRS new building. None was received at the time of this report. On the St. Thomas complex, where majority of the work is being done, if you visit the complex today, you can't really park inside the complex, so anyone is just park outside, and because there's a whole lot of work going around the building and inside underneath the building, and that should be completed shortly. And when that is completed, we're going to be starting on the roof program, because some of our employees were displaced because of leak in the roof on the northern side. And we're also going to start the air condition program project. There is some work going on at the division of personnel rental space. That's progressed very smoothly. And so this is some work that was needed, and they are also doing some work within the building. Our rental collections, in March we collected $64,604.79 cents. Of that, $34,685.07 was rent. Total fiscal year to date, we collected rental $410,193.02, electric $321,534.92. These are reimbursements, and the total amount was $731,721.94. We do have a significant amount of arrearages. We can see that on Appendix A. The rental arrearages, a total of $78,799.88, and electrical arrearages $87,361.58. I note that Pleasant has arrearages. I think Miss and I'll have to put this before the board. Miss Clandida then send me an email from Pleasant where they're asking for a reduction in rent because of the COVID-19. That's under consideration. I have to send it to the board to discuss it with the board and see exactly how they want to handle that, but they're requesting some type of reduction in the rent. I guess they would have to prove to us that the traffic has slowed down because of that, because it appears that all their areas that they're renting, and I don't know why their storage, which is 2,320, should impact, but they are behind in the rent significantly. Also, the electrical arrearage is significant amount is with the Department of Justice and also Division of Personnel. I'm not sure if there were any receipt of rents or electrical subsequent to March 31. I'm not sure. I am
from the Virgin Islands, Mr. Nick, from the Virgin Islands, Housing Finance Authority and First Bank. The electrical arrearages was because WAPA sent a 2-month bill. So our normal bill of 88,000 went to almost 160 something thousand. So those 2 months were sent to the tenants. So we expect those shortly.
Thank you. But I just want to let the board knows that I will be sending that letter to them since they sent it to us and they asked for request for relief as to what. I'll make my recommendation and I'll have the board make a decision. We can do that. I'll send all the correspondence. I can get some more background information. And maybe we can do it by a poll vote. So I'll be sending that to you probably sometime next week. They're the only tenants that have asked us for any relief. Also, trustees in Appendix B, as requested, I've submitted our FY 2019 accomplishments, and also I have submitted our fiscal year 2020 goals. This is extensive. I don't think I should be reading this into the record at this time, but they are attached, and we can further discuss this at an appropriate time. That ends my report.
Trustees, any questions from Mr. Nick, for the administrator?
Somebody has a telephone or something that is on, giving some feedback. Okay, thank you.
All right, trustees, any questions for the administrator? Any comments?
One question, where are we going to take a look at the Haven Site Transitional Report?
So that's an executive session, as far as I think it says that on the agenda.
All right, thank you.
Sabari?
No, I just want to make sure that we stay on top of these arrearages so that they don't get out of hand. So just to alert Mr. Nibbs that's one report that we taking very close look at on a monthly basis.
Also,
that's my only comment.
Yeah. Also, I received a letter. This is for Trustee Barry, I think. Are you the investment chair now, sir? Trustee Barry, are you the investment chair now?
I'm the budget chair.
Oh.
I am one of the...
I'm the
Go ahead, Mr. Barry.
I'm on the budget chair.
Mr. Nils, by default, I think I'm going to end up being the investment chair.
Okay. I did get a request from Kazi to revisit their loan. I think they're looking to maybe do refinancing. I think that's not involved in their loan agreement, but they're asking for some type of reorganization or refinancing, some type of discount because of the interest rate. So that I think needs to be in the investment committee. If we can discuss it prior, but we may need to have them do a presentation. We can do it by Zoom. I know that they just opened up a unit at KFC on the waterfront, and that's I don't know if they opened it at one of the worst times because there's no traffic there, a significant amount of traffic, no tourists, nobody frequent that area that much. So, but they did submit a request, and I'll submit that at the appropriate time.
I'd like to jump in here just to put a little idea out there that I heard that was very reasonable and a good idea related to loans. What they were talking about is because of the virus, turning around and not abating or reducing or forgiving any of the loan, but projecting it forward to where the deadline was, and whether it be 2-3 months, whatever it is, to just add that on the end of the mortgage and, you know, or the loan, and project it that way.
Like I said, it's a request, and at the appropriate time, the board will make the decision. So I'm going to send it on. Maybe I can do it today or tomorrow to the entire committee, and we can set up an investment committee meeting and discuss it. We can have them come in and give us. I'm going to look to see when was the last financial that was submitted. They're usually pretty good with their submission of their requirements regards to their loan requirements. So I'll look at that and I'll send the request forward.
Trustee Colwood, any questions, any comments?
No, not today. Not for that part.
Not in that part. Who am I missing? Zaliga? Zaliga?
I'm here. No, sir.
Any comments, any questions?
No.
Okay. Attorney Williams, any questions, any comments?
No, sir, I'm fine.
You're fine. Okay. Okay, then we can move on to
Committee reports.
committee reports. Committee chairs, anything to report?
I'll start. Oh, shucks. Oh, okay. Attorney Williams had given a markup of his recommendations. Thus far, we're waiting for Attorney Smith to submit her final. So we didn't have an opportunity to do our meeting because we wanted to get the recommendation for changes. The only thing I also wanted you guys to comment on the electronic policy portion that I'd sent out. So to determine if we're going to create it as a standalone policy or if we're going to insert it. The recommendation I had made was to insert it into the policy, or if you guys wanted to do a separate policy. So I'm going to need feedback on that also.
Please identify the policy.
Sorry?
Please identify the policy you're talking about.
Oh, I'm sorry. The board manual.
Okay. The listening audience.
Yes. So I didn't nobody sent out any additional corrections or anything for the electronic policy. I took it from 3 different policies that I saw to make it fit into our what we have going on here. So if I miss something, I need somebody to say.
Okay, this is Pedro. Ms. Colwood, I haven't seen that, so if you could forward that to me when you get a chance, please, so I could submit comments if
I thought your
necessary.
name was on there. Okay, sorry.
Okay, 2 things that Attorney Williams mentioned about should the system be capitalized or not, and also referring to board members or trustees. Either way, because we're a specific group and not just generally, they should be capitalized, whichever way you go. Okay, one other thing that Attorney Williams was asking. One other thing I'd like to note with the policy, the way it's written, on page 7, where it talks about C, where it talks about board powers. I wanted to highlight that it does not list our power or intent or anything about us being able to alter benefits. And that's fine with me to leave it that way. Because I think if we add that in, we're going to get into trouble.
Okay. Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman, I think we may have to submit to have an amended compensatory time policy. I have to discuss it a little further with Ms. Glendinning Gums. However, we learned that there were changes in the Fair Labor Standard Act as to who should be entitled and what salary. So it's the current Fair Labor Standard Act provisions are totally different from what our policy has in there. So I think that needs to be changed so everybody can be on the same page.
Where?
We haven't submitted it as yet. I learned about that a couple of days ago, and that is something that should be very straightforward. Probably in the next board meeting, we'll submit it so that we can amend our compensatory time policy to be in sync with the Fair Labor Standard Act.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Cohen, Dr. Cohen, can you, anything you request or comments, can you email it, text it, or put it in writing so that I can make sure that I capture it?
Okay, yes, of course.
For our meeting? Thanks. So as soon as Attorney Smith submits her corrections or additions, we'll have our committee meeting.
This is Kathy. I just received Attorney Williams' comments, so I'm going to look at them over the weekend and then I'll get it to you on Monday.
Okay, thank you. So guys, we'll tentatively look at Wednesday. I'll send out a time request for everybody. So if Attorney Smith gets it Monday, we should be able to meet on Wednesday. And so we can knock it out.
Okay. Any additional committee reports? Okay. Thank you. Hearing none, we will move on to the Treasurer's report.
Good morning, Board Chair, other trustees. This is the Government Employees Retirement System Schedule of Receipts and Disbursements for the month ending March 31st, 2020. Receipts from collections, loan repayment, 1,252,575. Year to date, 9,870,381. Rent from tenants / utilities, 211,834. Year to date, 743,462. Rents from Havenside tenants, 414,265. Year to date, 3,042,562. Employer retirement contributions, 4,891,743. Year to date, 41,764,110. Employee retirement contributions, 2,791,541. Year to date, 23,125,848. Parking facility, 210. Year to date, 5,540. Miscellaneous, 8,590,098. Year to date, 11,126,635, for total collections of 18,152,265. Year to date, 89,678,539. Disbursements, annuity payments, 22,505,380. Year to date, 132,651,419. Administrative expenses, 1,012,000. $208,734. Year-to-date, $7,787,709. Personal loans, 16,404. Year-to-date, 162,911. Mortgage loans, 29,267. Year-to-date, 137,278. Retiree loans, 257. Year-to-date, 9,502. There was nothing current in the month for auto loans and land loans. Year-to-date, auto loans, $12. Refund of contributions, $1,015,640. Year-to-date, $5,747,581. No allotments to WICO in the month of March. Year-to-date, $874,960. Total disbursements, $24,775,682. Year-to-date, $147,381,371, for a net cash deficit of $6,623,480. Year-to-date net cash deficit, $57,702,832. And that ends the reading of the schedule of receipts and disbursements for the month of March.
Thank you, Ms. Jeremiah. Any questions? Trustee Bowery, any questions?
No.
Trustee Colwood?
Not a question, but comment as usual.
Okay.
Because the payment or the contributions are down this month. We're collected like less than 8, and we paid out 22.5. That's a big disparity. It's like $14 million short. Is that something that we anticipate is going to happen again?
The governor, when I sent the governor a letter, an email, let asking, if there are going to be any, because of the COVID virus and the shutdown, was there going to be any delay in receiving contribution? He assured me that there was not going to be a delay.
So, but we're down by half.
Well, this is the reality. He said no. They were reaching out. He was supposed to be getting their $60 million loan. He did say, I know he said he only had 3 to 4 days of cash at the time when I spoke with him, but he assured me that he expected to make payment on time. So I don't know why. I don't know. Ms. Jeremiah might be able to speak. Is it on their side or is it on the autonomous agency side? I assume that it's on the government side, the GVI, the central government. But he assured me that there would be no reductions. I know that it would have to be reductions because gross receipts are going to be down. Withholding taxes, people unemployed are going to be down. So,
They have been making their payments. The last pay period might be the only missing one, but they have been making their payments.
But what she's saying compared to 19,
behind.
Yeah.
Compared to last month, I think last month we were at 10 or almost 11, and this month we're at 7.
WAPA was behind, and WAPA was trying to play catch up. So when you see that big amount last month, it was WAPA trying to play catch up. Reality is, for most, this is our collection. This is what it is.
So before I complained about 10 million, now we're going to almost 15.
It could be a result of members leaving the system also.
And we got more coming. Okay.
Trustee Cohen, any question?
No, I got all the info I need.
Trustee Liger?
No questions, thank you, sir.
Trustee Smith?
Nothing, Mr. Chair.
Yeah. Okay, need a motion for approval?
Mr. Chair, I
Motion
move.
to accept the treasurer's report.
Smith. Second.
Second.
Colwood. Trustee Colwood.
Yes.
Trustee Barry.
Are we voting to approve the report?
Yes.
What does that mean?
You're approving the figures that were read into the record, the treasurer's.
You're accepting them?
You're accepting them then. I mean, they're coming directly from the books and records.
I'm not voting on that. Not voting.
Trustee Cohen.
Yes, I'll say yes.
Trustee Liger.
Yes.
Trustee McDonald, absent. Trustee Smith.
Yes.
Chairman Colliner.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, 5 yes, 1 not voting, 1 absent.
Thank you. The treasurer's report has been accepted. Investment officer's report. Mr. Henderson around?
Yes, I'm here, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, other trustees. This is the monthly performance and update of the investment portfolio as of March 31st, 2020. The total plan returned negative 2.5% for the month. Total equity returned negative 12.1% for the month and outperformed this benchmark by 170 basis points. Total fixed incomes negative 0.8% return, underperformed its benchmark by 20 basis points. And total alternatives negative 3.6% return, outperformed its benchmark by 850 basis points. Notable fund performance for the month. The Russell 1000 index returned in negative 13.2%. Pew Capital returned negative 1.4% and underperformed its benchmark by 77 basis points. Our US debt index returned negative 0.6%, and our US TIPS fund returned negative 1.9%. As we all know, the market's volatility in March was, something of a historical nature. If you look in retrospect, the S&P 500 was down, I think, negative 12.4% month to date. The Russell 3000 was down, I think, about 21%, so negative 21% for the month of March. So, but overall, that negative 2.5% for the month, I think year to date, we were down as of March 31st, negative 1.3%. The physical year to date, we were flat at about 0. So I think if you put our pension plan up against probably the universe, we would probably rank somewhere in the top percentile as it pertains to return given our current allocation. If we look at the monthly cash flow activity as of the end of March 31st, we ended the month at approximately 558 million. Bear in mind this amount excludes the member loans program, which I think is about 42 million right now, and the St. Thomas and St. Croix office complexes. We did raise 20.6 million out of the fund in the month of March. We were fortunate enough to liquidate our Russell 1000 growth and Russell 1000 value funds. We traded out on March 6th, so we traded out before the following week, which was when the market took that big dive down. So we were kind of fortunate on that. If you look at the activity for the month, we began at about 582 million. We had a net cash flow of about $10 million that we took out to pay benefits. We had income of about 2.2 million. We lost value of about 16.5 million, and so we end up at that ending market value of 558 million. As it pertains to fees that we paid for the month, we paid 42,000 month to date as of March 31st in investment management fees. Calendar year to date, we've paid $93,000, and our fiscal year to date, we've paid out $225,000 for investment management custodian and consulting fees. Year to date, or fiscal year to date, we've collected about $1,000 in securities lending proceeds. Again, as we can see, we continue to have to take cash out to make up the shortfall to pay benefits, and in such continue to reduce our asset base pretty much consistently month over month. Mr. Chair, that concludes my report for the month.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Boring, any questions? Mr. Boring, you still there?
I think he can hear us.
Probably can't. Okay, then we go to Trustee Carwood.
No questions.
No questions. Trustee Cohen?
No questions.
Mr. Liger?
I have no question, but I just want to commend Mr. Henderson. I think he's doing a pretty good job.
Thank you.
All right.
Also, Mr. Chair, just a quick update. I know we were speaking about Kazi and then their desires to come to the table to restructure, I guess, the loan. Currently, as of March 31st, the loan balance is about $3 million. So I think we borrowed them $6 million. There are $3 million now outstanding. So they're about halfway through the loan, and they're up to date.
All right. Trustee Smith? Where is Trustee Smith? Not available? And again, all I have to say is I want to thank Mikita for keeping us abreast of what is happening and keeping us from losing our shirt in the market by investing unwisely. Mr. Bobby, you're back? I guess you still can't hear me, huh?
Also, Mr. Chair, just to give an update of where the portfolio is as of yesterday, we're up about 2% for the month.
All right, thank you. Thank you, sir. All right, new business. We need to ratify the poll vote to continue the Board Administrative Assistance contract. You know, Miss. Oh, I'm sorry. Miss Squashy.
Excuse me.
Are you there?
I am here.
I'm sorry. Sorry. Forgive me. I'm forgotten to. You're representing Miss Clendenin, right?
Miss Clendenin should be on the call as well.
Is Dana Clendenin?
Yes, she's there.
Why have you allowed me to go this far in the meeting without asking you if you had any questions?
Because if I had a question, I would ask the Lord.
I didn't hear you.
I said if I had a question, I would have asked. So it's no worries at all.
Okay, I'm sorry, ma'am. I do apologize. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
Before we go into regular session, I don't know if Trustee Barry is He's hearing. Trustee Barry, are you hearing us?
I don't think he is. Or he's ignoring us.
In committed, my internet is unstable. It's going in and out.
Well, you need to call in on the.
So sometimes I hear, sometimes I don't.
I think
Can
maybe
you
you
hear me?
still. Are you still on
No.
the 1-800 number? You can call in on the number that I gave you, the
No,
1-800
I want to try
number.
that now.
888. But Mr. Chairman, what I would like to get from Mr. Bowery, because as to the reason why he failed to vote for the treasurer's report, he has done that before. Is it that he lacks confidence in the report? Because we need to know. I mean, he has voted for it all the time, and you know, it gave me a funny feeling that he don't feel confident with the numbers, and the numbers are coming directly from our records that we receive.
Whenever we get him up, then we'll certainly ask him.
May I just add a recommendation that if invite him into the main office, in the financial office, to meet everybody, see where the books are coming from and where the numbers are coming from.
Oh, come on. This place is run by a CPA, by Ms. Jeremiah.
Yeah, and you get audited.
And we get and we get audited all the time. It's the same thing. Come on. I don't accept that, Ms. Dr. Cohen.
I missed that. What was it that Trustee Bobby wanted to have done?
No. What I wanted to ask him, I could have asked him offline, but as to why he was not comfortable with the treasurer's report. If there's a reason why, I think we need to know, so that if he is something that he's puzzled about, or because we are getting the numbers from our records,
right,
which are audited.
I think initially he had mentioned something about the format, but I guess we can get it cleared up with him.
Well, you remember we had changed the format when Judge Ross was here. It was a comprehensive report, but it was hard to keep up with it because of timing differences and bank reconciliations and all of that stuff. You remember that big report we used to give as like an addendum? But he needs to tell us if he feels that he wants a different format. He needs to let us know. But this is what, and like I said, we used to do a separate report, a comprehensive report, but there were timing differences because of bank reconciliation. It was comprehensive of the entire portfolio and our bank accounts and everything. We can go back to that, but we really need to know why he's uncomfortable so that we can better serve the board.
Okay. But until we get him, I guess we have to move on and find out from him.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you hear?
So, Bory, if you can hear us, you need to call in. You're breaking up. We can't hear you clearly. Okay, recently we had a poll vote to approve continue the contract for the board administrative assistant, and we need to ratify that poll vote. The poll vote was 6 in favor of renewing her contract for a period of 1 year, effective March 17, 2020. So I need a motion for someone so we can ratify that poll vote.
Mr. Chair, I move that we ratify the poll vote taken to extend the contract for our administrative assistant.
For a period of 1 year.
For a period of 1 year.
I second.
Trustee Colwood,
Yes.
Trustee Bowery.
But we know he's present.
He was trying to call in.
Mr. Nips, can you go on and come back to him?
He's on now.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. But you need to mute your Zoom.
Okay.
We are now voting on the poll vote to ratify. We are now voting on the poll vote.
So, Nibs, if you're the host, I think you can mute him from your side. Yeah? If you're the host of the meeting, I think you can mute him from your side, and then he could use the phone.
No, I'm not.
Mr. Henderson, he needs to mute his computer, not the Zoom. It's his computer.
Oh, okay.
Computer.
Okay.
So what did you say I have to mute?
Mute your computer.
The volume on your computer.
Volume on the computer. Put it down.
Take it off.
The feedback is from the boardroom and Mr. Nibs.
Okay, that's better?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Yes, it is. 100% better. We are voting on the poll vote to ratify the poll vote regards to the continuation of the assistant to the board contract for a period of 1 year.
Okay, yeah, I vote yes too.
Okay, yes. Trustee Cohen?
Yes.
Trustee Liger?
Yeah.
Trustee McDonald absent. Trustee Smith? Trustee Smith? Absent. Trustee Callender?
Yes.
Chair 5 yes, 2 absent.
Right. Motion has passed. Number 2, annual board retreat.
Mr. Chairman,
discuss that?
This was put on the agenda because, as you know, every year for the past few years, I don't know how many years now we've been having it, we have always have an annual retreat where we meet maybe 3 or 4 days at try at a kind of a off, well, you know, trying to be as secluded as possible where we can have the attention of the board. We usually invite our investment advisor, we invite our actuaries to give presentation. We also invite off island attorneys to give sessions on ethics and governance. And also we had where the GRS staff would present strategically plans going forward and come to consensus as to what needs to be done within the agency. I think it's this year is a opportune time because the system is in a different stage of its life to have a board retreat, but how and where? I'm not sure we can do. I don't know what the future holds in July. Usually the board retreat is held, I think, the first or the second week in July. We don't have any business meeting in July. The board retreat is held at that time. But as to how it's going to be done, I'm not sure it's going to be effective by Zoom. Could be done, but the whole thing about retreat is to have that camaraderie and closeness and type atmosphere where we sit and we brainstorm and we throw out ideas and make decisions as to the future of the system. I said there's an unknown. I don't know where we can congregate in a big place where we could be 6 feet apart.
Mr. Nibbs?
Yes.
Can we consider postponing it for a few months? It gives us an opportunity to see where things fall, where we level off.
It's up to the board. Just throwing this out so that the board
investments and our. I'm sorry.
I'm just throwing this out. It's up to the board to make that decision. It's an unknown. Obviously, from Dr. Fauci, he says come winter time, the virus comes back. Coronavirus. I don't know. So it's an unknown. Do you want to postpone it for this year? But on the other hand, there's so much things that this board need to consider. We have a consideration in the executive session of resolution number 2019. That's a significant change in the administration of the benefits. I'm just throwing it out there. I mean,
could I just jump in here for 1 second? I would postpone this decision at least for another month, because a number of things, there's been a number of predictions from different entomologists and everything, and they're concerned that there may be another surge. If there isn't, and then things start coming, that we could very possibly be able to sit down and have a meeting the way you're describing that we had in the past. So just the idea of postponing the decision as of yet and setting a date can be held off a month or two.
Yeah. Okay, all right.
Did you hear me when I said yes for that vote for Nikaya?
Yes. No, I did not hear you, ma'am. You were not voting. You were absent.
No, because I keep saying yes, but I haven't heard. I'm not hearing anything. I just had to call back in.
So you are asking me to change your vote then?
Yeah, because I said yes, but you didn't hear me.
No, nobody heard you.
Yeah, because I don't know what happened. I had to call back in. My vote is yes.
Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I'll change the vote.
Please do. I don't want Miss Assistant to be upset with Miss Smith.
The new vote is 6 yes and 1 absent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Well.
So,
are we going to take Trustee Cohen's suggestion?
And Ms. Coward, yeah, she's the one that suggested that postponement. So I think you could poll the board members to see when will be feasible to have that retreat. But I agree with the postponement for right now.
Did I understand Trustee Cohen to say postpone the retreat or postpone the decision?
Postpone the decision.
Yeah, postpone the decision, sir.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I agree with that. That we postpone the decision for a while. So the normal date would be when?
Tuesday, the first week in July, the first or the second week in July. There's no business meeting in July.
Okay, so I would go with Trustee Cohen to postpone the decision. In the meantime, we probably need to look at options for having to do it in from a distance. I don't think we ought to postpone the actual retreat. My personal view is that a slimmed down retreat is better than no retreat at all.
Well, I agree with you. It can be done by electronic means. It's just that you wouldn't have that, you know. It's a different thing by electronic means. It's like sitting and just have that camaraderie, I guess. You know, that type of thing.
Yeah, I understand. It's the same thing with your family, right?
Right. Yeah. It's the same thing. So I mean, you know.
But
then why postpone it then?
I think we should give ourselves a little more time to decide whether to.
Okay.
And just a heads up, I think we should try to have it, even if it's even without the camaraderie. I think that'll be better than no retreat at all.
Mm-hmm.
But Mr. Chair, if I can, one of the things I was saying, postpone the date because with the unknowns right now, the fluctuations for May and June, we may want to see where things lie in the Virgin Islands per se. By summertime, by end of summer, we'll have an idea of where the VI is, especially with the fact that the governor has to rely on funding coming from the nation because from now until the end of summer, no monies are coming in based on tourism shutting down. So there's going to be a lot of things that we're going to have to consider because we'll know where the government is by June, July. We won't know before that.
I heard you, but what does that mean?
No.
Do we postpone the decision, or do we postpone the date?
Well, no. Dr. Cohen said postpone decision, so we have to make a decision by June if we're going to do it in July or not. So postpone the decision is fine. But Trustee Barry was talking about still having it maybe in July. But my reason for asking us to go beyond July was to see where we are financially as a territory.
Mr. Nibbs, if you make a decision in next month, May, we will still have adequate time to hold it in July, right?
Yeah, well, you know, unless we'll have to find out Rocky's schedule, Alwyn's schedule, we'll have to find out Nikita's schedule. We may, I don't know, Attorney Smith, we may want to have the attorneys that we usually have to do the ethics and governance. And the staff is okay, we can always get our stuff together, but it's having the individuals from the outside who determine the availability of those dates.
You know, my gut feeling is that we're going to end up doing this virtually.
Yeah.
I think July is going to be a bit early with what's all that's going on nationally. So okay, so let's make a decision next month about what we're going to do. Okay. Any other suggestions? Okay.
I agree. To make the decision next month.
All right. Thank you.
Same here.
Okay, so we now have the unfinished business. Mr. Nibbs, it's on you.
So Chairman, we do have a request for a proposal number 2 change order regards to the GRS building in St. Thomas from Custom Builders, the contractor that is doing the work at the St. Thomas complex, with our owner's representative, Geridian. They have agreed that this work needs to be done. They did submit a proposal initially of $299,486. Our owners rep engineers went back to them and negotiated with them and looked at more closely as to what they were requesting, and it was revised on April 13 down to $238,580. Now, this amount is not in addition to the capital projects that were approved in the FY 2020 budget. As a matter of fact, we plan to exclude the $686,000 for the lobby restroom renovations and move that to the 2021 budget. So we're not asking for any financial approve of any financial amount. I mean in the budget, to exceed the budget. We are willing to roll over 2021 project, a project that we were supposed to do in 2020 to 2021. That's the lobby restroom renovations, and use those available funds from there. We are asking your approval, just your approval of the change order. The funds are available.
And Mr. Nibbs, where are the funds coming from?
We have a capital project approved in the 2020 budget, $3,836,332.50 was approved for capital projects. We are willing to eliminate from that amount $686,000 and move that project over to the 2021 budget.
Not a problem.
And I think Trustee Bowery the last time says, do not come back looking for any more monies. Try to find the monies within that $3 million, which we did.
Mr. Nibbs, Ms. Clendenin here. Just want to be sure I am understanding. That is to fix the restrooms and the lobby area at GRS St. Thomas?
GRS St. Thomas.
The restrooms and all restrooms in the building?
Urinals on all 3 floors. All 3 floors, restrooms, yes.
Excellent, thank you.
So I'm asking for approval of the change order in the amount of $238,580. To be taken out of the capital project amount.
So moved.
So, Mr. Nibbs, is this a new budgeted item?
No, it's in the $3.8 million that we approved.
It's in there already?
Yes, sir.
That project?
Yes, sir. And you told us not to come back, so I found some money. I'll move that over to 2021 budget. That amount, there's a lot of projects going on right now. So we have what we have. We don't have a quote for that per se. We have quotes for the other smaller projects. So I can use the difference for the $238,500.
Right, if there isn't any more discussion on this, I can make the motion.
Actually, I already moved. We just need a second.
Oh, I'll give you the second.
Well,
yeah, because I moved already.
Right. For the $238,580?
The 238,588. 588. 580.
Just so I'm clear, Mr. Nibbs, this is a project that was included in the $3.8 million?
Yes, sir.
And the change order reduces the amount or increases it?
It's not going to increase it because I'm deducting the 680 from the 38, so I have a surplus.
No, not talking about the project. You said this project was one of the projects that we included in the budget.
This one, yes, it's increasing, yes, because this is change order number 2. So yes, it would increase, if anything, if we left it 686 in there, it would increase the amount that was approved by the budget committee.
Okay. Okay, I got you.
So because you said not to come back, fine, do what you have to do to find the money, so we found it there. Okay?
Okay.
Trustee Conwood?
Okay.
You've exhausted all questions? Yes.
Trustee Bowery?
Yes.
Trustee Cohen?
Yes.
Trustee Liger?
Yeah.
Trustee McDonald absent. Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Calendar?
Yes.
6 yes, 1 absent.
All right. Motion passes. All right, item number 2, GERS updated projections and need for temporary benefit reduction. And this is actuary?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I had asked Siegel, based on a discussion really that I had with Trustee Bowery, to go back and look at what reductions would be and probably categorize it by age group, which is on page 11. But to go back and run some numbers and scenarios as to if we took the cut that we are, and based on the economy, the economy, what it would be come 2024 as far as the cuts, and be able to do some type of presentation as to the age groups, how the age groups will be impacted. So it's your take, Mr. Joyner.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, board members. I'm just going to walk through the first section of the report. Just to, what we did, look on page 2. I think you have it in front of you. The projected insolvency, the graph looks almost identical to what it has been. What we've changed here is we're assuming a 0% return for the year end 2020 and a 3% returns after that if nothing changes and nothing happens. We're also assuming a decrease in active employees down to 8,700. If this goes lower, then it could be a little worse. Again, this is not new. This has been reported every year since about 2003. And we're just getting closer and closer to the actual insolvency date, which is still going to be somewhere around, looks like 23, somewhere between 2022 and 2024, depending on a lot of other factors. One mentioned earlier today, if there's like a run on the bank and new retirees, then you get more outflow quicker, and that could hurt the plan. Slipping over to page 4, you've seen this chart before. There's nothing new here. And then the next couple of pages also are re-emphasizing that if nothing is done, it's going to be a significant impact to employees going forward. One thing I do want to point out, I think that's actually an Alden section. So what I'd like to do now is turn the next section, turning to page 7. And Alden, if you take over and add the newer stuff we've put in here that the board has not seen before.
Sure. So I guess if we turn to page 6 real quick, as summarized from the prior slides, we said that the reductions can be as much as 71% across the board, especially if there's going to be an issue in collecting employee contributions when, the plan goes insolvent. So page 6 basically just illustrate in simple terms what this means to current tier 1 and current tier 2 retirees. So right now, the average monthly benefit for a tier 1 is about $2,400. You reduce that by 70%, people are going to receive $705 on average. Tier 2, on the other hand, the current benefits they're getting is $798. You reduce them further, that's down to $231 on average. That's based on the payroll that we have now on the current retirees. So if you turn to page 8, basically what we've been proposing here and what the board's been talking about for the past several years is that maybe smaller temporary reductions in the benefits today would be better than if we have these large reductions that are going to happen for sure, and now that's basically the next 3 years, and those reductions are going to be permanent. So on page 8, that kind of summarize it in simple terms. If we do nothing, everybody's going to get a reduction from 54% to as much as 71%. And if participation goes lower because we have run on the bank or the government is having issues filling vacancies in participating for government work, that reduction can even be more. If we act now and implement some temporary reductions effective January 1st, 2021, the reduction is, still there's going to be substantial reductions, but it's a lot less than the 70%. So effective January 2021, tier 1 benefits can be reduced by 42%, and that's for the next 20 years. After 20 years, tier 1 benefits can be restored back to 100%. Now, a lot of the retirees right now probably aren't really going to benefit from that restoration, but people who have not yet retired, and not going to retire in the next 10, 15 years, that is something to, at least give them some hope. And again, this proposal doesn't include any reduction in the tier 2 benefits. And we have a chart later on in this presentation that basically shows side by side, what the tier 2 benefits look like compared to tier 1. And I think that would basically demonstrate that the tier 2 benefits are already been reduced significantly and at the same time paying in more employee contributions, and further reducing them doesn't really make any sense. Part of this proposal, as we've said before, we need to also implement what the board has authority in terms of increasing the employer contributions. So every 5 years, these projections reflect an increase in employer contributions by 3% of pay, up to an ultimate rate of 35.5% by 2040. So doing all of this will, based on our projections, enable the fund to survive and be sustainable in the future.
If I may jump in there just a second, Alderman. If you think about these projected reductions, what you're actually doing is normalizing the amount of benefit that's payable with the actual amount of contributions that we're getting from the government. Historically, the government has underpaid the ADEC for many, many, many years, and we're now stuck with the fruits of that. And what this is saying is that from here on out, whatever the contributions are is what we're going to normalize the benefit to be related to. Alden.
Yep. If we turn to page 9, that's just an illustration of how the market value of assets are going to perform based on our projections. So as you can see, The light blue line basically drops down all the way to 2023, 2024. That's our projected insolvency. Currently, if we reduce this 42%, and again, as Rocky said earlier, we've updated this projection, assuming we're only going to earn 3% per year, even in the years long term. Based on that, the 42% reduction across the board will be sufficient to enable the system to thrive and survive over the long term.
And one more comment, if I could jump in. On page 8, at the bottom of that page, there's a comment in a blue box that's very, very important. The GRS system and the board, you have to pay benefits as best you can for the money you have available. The government, by adopting the plan, has promised to pay a certain amount of benefits. So even though the retirement system itself is not able to pay the full benefit, the government technically is still responsible. Where they get the money from, I don't know, but technically they're still responsible for the full benefit at some point.
Right, I guess how that's going to play out, we don't know. I guess that will play out in the court system when people start. All right, I'm just going to pause for a second and see if there are any questions so far. So if there are no questions,
I have a couple of questions.
One second. One second. Ms. Clendenin? Ms. Dana Clendenin? Nice. Questions? Any questions?
Yeah, I have two.
Wait. Trustee Bowley.
Hello?
Give me 1 sec. I didn't hear from Ms. Clendenin. Did you say no?
Oh, sorry.
I said no. I'm good.
Okay,
Thank
okay.
you.
All right. Sorry. Okay. Okay, Ms. Trustee Bowley, go ahead.
Okay, so my first question has to do with this 71%, and this is probably more legal question than a financial one. My understanding is that the 71% would be what would happen if the employee portion gets eliminated, if the employees refuse to contribute.
Okay.
And so my question is that, is that going to be a legal position that they'll take? Would they have a legal basis for not paying into it? I mean, because the government, since it's taken from your pay, how under what conditions would that happen?
Peter Williams here. Trustee Bowie, I think we had some of this discussion in the last board meeting, but my sense is, as we indicated, on the current law, employees are obligated to make their contributions to the system. The government would have an obligation to withhold that from each employee's pay. Obviously, we anticipate that person who's been in the system who's vested maybe 15 years, if they don't think they're going to get any benefit, they may go to court and ask the court from taking out monies for benefits that they're probably never going to see. If a court agrees and issues an injunction directing the government not to take the money out, then the government will do that and GRS will not get the money. Absent that, the GRS should receive the funds, assuming there are funds to be received.
And Mr. Bowery,
okay,
on page 4, if the court said you have to make the employee contributions even though you might not get the full benefit, the reduction would be about 54%, which is shown on page 4.
Yeah, I saw that, and that's the number we've been dealing with all along. I'm just trying to understand. So, the 71%. Well, first on it, the 71% I'm just trying to understand how that would happen. I mean, if the government has the obligation to take it from your pay, under what condition it won't happen? And I think I heard Attorney Williams is saying that the employee would have to go to court and claim that it's been unjustly taken out since the benefits that were promised are no longer forthcoming. Is that basically what we're saying?
Yes, sir. And let me add one caveat. And of course, if the legislature decides to go in and change the law, so if the legislature amended the statute to say, in light of what's happening, employees are no longer obligated to pay, then we're back to the same situation as if a court issued an injunction. So on either of those two scenarios, an employee would no longer be obligated to pay if the law is changed, if the court issues an injunction.
Okay. The other question I had is that there was a mention about having a run on the bank. I'm not sure I understand what that meant.
Oh, the run on the bank?
Yes.
Right. So what that means is just if there are more retirees applying for their retirement, more members are applying for their retirement, then the benefit payouts are going to be projected to go up. And if that's the case, the overall amount that the contributions that are coming in can support will be less than what we're showing here.
And Mr. Bowery, if I may explain.
So you're referring to the GRS of the bank. You're not talking about a commercial bank or anything.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's where I got thrown. All right, I got you.
And Mr. Bowery, just to expand that a little bit, you may have individuals who they're vested, but they may only be 40, 45 years old. And in anticipation of not getting their full benefit, they may retire, or somebody who's 50 may retire, take their early retirement, take their penalty, and go somewhere else to work. And so, or they may just let the money sit in the GRS until they're eligible for a retirement, but meantime, you're not getting those contributions. So that's where I think the term run on the bank came, is a lot of people who normally would not retire under the circumstances will be forced to retire and seek employment elsewhere.
Okay. I got caught to the bank thing. I was thinking commercial banks. I couldn't make the connection, so I understand.
I apologize for that.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I had one other question on page 9, where you show the projected market value of the assets. It slides down until about 2032 and goes back up until about 2040 and then starts coming back down. What's happening there?
Yeah, so the proposal that we have here is the reduction will only occur for the first 20 years. So after 20 years, around 2040, the benefits will be restored back to 100%. And so that's why you see another dip around 2040, but then it stabilizes again and it starts to go up.
Okay.
But basically in the earlier years, the reason why you have a decline in assets is because the gap between the benefit payments and the contributions are still more than the amount of savings that are being generated by the 42% reduction. However, it's enough so that it extends the life of the system, that by 2032, where you have more tier 2 retirees in the system, it starts to level off and actually goes back up.
And
so
also,
is there an assumption that when we get to the 20-year period that the government will will restore the benefits, or is the government then going to start to fund it via the ADEC as opposed to the current formula? Is that the assumption?
Well, the assumption is by then the government contribution will be up to 35.5%, where we do the 3% increases every 5th year. And so that should be roughly equivalent to funding the full ADEC, correct?
Oh, okay.
Okay. So from the last meeting, the other thing that we talked about is what about the vulnerable population? You know, how do we define the vulnerable population? So, you know, first, you know, the Virgin Island stakeholders will really have to be the one to define what the vulnerable population. But what we've done here is to just illustrate you know, what has been done in other systems. So in the private sector, for multi-employer pension plans, there's a Multi-Employer Pension Reform Act where they are allowed, plans that are in trouble and running out of money, they are allowed to cut their benefits, even for people who are currently retired. But within that framework, they've also defined what the vulnerable population is. And in that act, the vulnerable population are those people who are disabled and those who are at least 80 years of age as of right now. Under that act, basically the vulnerable population don't get any reductions. People between ages 75 and 80 will have their reductions phased in between you know, no reductions and whatever reductions have been proposed for the pension plan. So generally, you know, when we talk about providing no reduction or a lower reduction to a certain group, such as a vulnerable population, what that means is that the reduction for everyone else in order to achieve the same goal will be higher. So in your case, if we're saying across the board for the tier 1 is 42%, and that's the goal in order for us to have the system to remain solvent and thriving in the future, if we define the vulnerable population as the same as defined in the Multi-Employer Pension Reform Act, the 42% will increase for everybody else. So if you turn to page 11, page 11 has a small table at the bottom of that page. So if giving you an example of how this would work. So if the vulnerable population in right now, which is we're defining as people who are over 80 and disabled, if we lower their reduction to 10%, the 42% reduction for everyone else will increase to 48%. If we lower that to 30%, if we lower that to 30%, the 42% reduction for everyone else will increase to 44%. So if we turn to page 12 real quick, it gives you an illustration of how the average monthly benefits by year looks like and by age. So as a group in total, tier 2 compared to tier 1 are receiving currently about 33% of what tier 1 people are getting. And you can see from this chart how that differs by the different age groups. So if we go to page 13 and we apply the 42% reduction across the board, tier 2 average benefits are still significantly lower compared to tier 1. So as a total, tier 2 benefit levels are 57% compared to the tier 1 average monthly benefits with the 42% across the board reduction. And you can see how that compares by age. If you go to page 14, Page 14 and page 15 gives you an illustration. If we do some kind of difference between the vulnerable population and the non-vulnerable population. So you can see on page 14, if we use the reduction of 48% for the non-vulnerable population and 10% for the vulnerable population, the tier 2 average benefit compared to tier 1 is about 52%. It's pretty much similar to the if we do a 42% across the board. But obviously, if you look at the impact on that for the non-vulnerable population, including the ones that are being phased in between 75 to 79, it's a little different. If you go to page 15, that's similar over there. But one interesting thing in here, I guess, to look at is if you're looking at the tier 1 and just scanning the average benefits by the different age group, with reducing 44% for everybody else and 30% for the non-vulnerable, and phasing in these reductions for people who are 75 to 79, the average benefits are almost they're more in line with each other. That's basically, the presentation. You have any questions?
I have a question. It's more for the board and for you, but I with the chairman's permission, I like that discussion to happen while you're here. And my underlying question is, what do we as a board, and this is a rhetorical question at this point, what do we as a board do with this information? And put that in the context of our responsibility, legal and fiduciary responsibility, and specifically with respect to a question I asked Attorney Williams through the chair about the board's responsibility to recommend to the to make a recommendation. I don't remember whether it's to the plan sponsor or to the legislature. I don't recall. But do you call Pedro? What? Remember, I wrote a memo where we're discussing about the board's responsibility to recommend based on actuarial information. The responsibility was to recommend to who?
I don't know. It seems like attorney.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, to the governor and the legislature.
Okay.
Did you hear me?
So yeah, I heard that. So back to the big question in my mind is that what do we as a board want to do? I mean, are we going to use this as a basis for making some recommendation to the legislature and the governor? Is that the idea?
Trustee Bobby, I think that would be the appropriate route to take after you've had some discussions. Yes.
Okay.
May I just add that that discussion, unfortunately, because of the virus and because of elections coming up, if they're held, I would imagine, that we're not going to have an audience until after that election.
Well, we need to have it before the election, I think.
This is
that's
something
we have
that
the most leverage.
This is something that Rosie would be discussing in the board retreat. I would recommend that it's be on the agenda for the board retreat to sit down and flush these things out. I know at one board retreat we had in St. John, CEL had the ability to just show on the spot scenarios where they had the machine and they could make changes right away if a suggestion was made. So something like this would be discussed at length in a board retreat.
Why can't you do it in a special board meeting just for that?
It can, but when are you going to recommend it to the legislature?
I think we should do it before the elections.
Okay.
So that's when we have the most leverage.
The board retreat is July or September, by September. Are we still going to recommend resolution number 25, 2019 in September, October?
Well, that's going to be discussed in executive session, and then we decide on that point. Ms. Clendenin, any questions?
No, sir.
All right. Trustee Colwood?
No.
Trustee Cohen?
Not at this point.
Okay. Trustee Liger?
No, sir. Thank you.
Trustee Smith?
No, Mr. Chair.
Anyone else?
So just so I'm clear.
I kind of.
We're leaving this for a retreat that we just said we don't know whether we'll have or not. Is that where we're at?
No, we didn't.
Repeat that, please, Trustee Bowie.
Excuse me?
Can you repeat what you just said?
I just want to get clarification. Are we saying that we want to leave this for a retreat that we just got through saying we're not sure whether we'll have or not?
Well, no, I don't think we said we're not going to have it. We were just trying to determine what time frame we were going to have it. The retreat is important. The purpose of the retreat is to have uninterrupted discussions.
Even in the absence of a retreat, this information needs to get to the governor and the legislators.
But I have a question. And it's one of those, it's not rhetorical, but it's hard to answer. Because I think this will be our third time presenting to the governor and the senators after we have compiled what we know is inevitable, and their response historically has not been to do anything. Are we anticipating them being of a different mindset now that we're in a difficult financial state? Because they don't take action, and they're afraid or refuse, especially in a political year. That's my concern.
And I keep telling you that every year is a political year.
I'm aware that we passed the resolution. But I'm also aware that the law requires the board to make a specific recommendation. And to the best of my knowledge, and everybody here, I'm new on the block, so you'll correct me if I'm incorrect. To the best of my knowledge, we have not made a formal. Let me ask a question. Have we made a formal recommendation pursuant to that legislation?
No, the board has not.
I'm not hearing that.
He said no.
This is Pedro. I said the board has not.
All right. So that's where I'm coming from with this. I'm saying that the law requires us to make a formal recommendation, and we have not done so. Notwithstanding the fact that we've brought all these things, we've passed resolutions, and we've, apprised them fully of the where we're headed financially. So I think we need to fulfill that request, make a formal recommendation.
I agree, sir. I agree.
And I don't necessarily think that we need to wait for a retreat.
Right.
That's true.
Because we may not have a retreat, but we need to do this. So we may end up not having a retreat, but we need to do this. We need to make the formal recommendation.
So a special meeting is going to be in order so we can spend some time, because it's going to be a lot of conversation to be had.
Yeah.
In a special meeting, or we devote the next meeting entirely to that or something. But I think to receive this information and to do nothing with it, I mean, I don't think that's an option for us as a board.
I think we all will agree with you. At least I hope we all will agree. Okay. Okay, any other comments, any other suggestions on this?
That we publicize whatever this proposal is, this recommendation, once we do put it together. When we give it presented to the legislature and the governor, have it publicized in the papers as well, and the radio stations.
Okay. That's something to be considered. Okay. All right. Any other questions for the actuaries? Anyone? If not, gentlemen, we'd like to thank you again for your great work. And we will be calling you again soon. Yep. Anything else you want to add, Rocky, Alwyn? Anything else?
I think we're good for now. If you do have any questions on this presentation or any modifications to it or tweaks you'd like to see, just let Mr. Nibbs know and he will email us and we can provide an update.
All right.
Do you guys have any template that we could follow? Do you have any examples of how other systems similarly situated, how they have structured it? Anything we could use as a guide?
If I heard the question correctly, Mr. Valerie, and I'm not sure I did, you said, could we describe the examples of other systems that have been in similar situations and what they have done?
Yeah. Are you aware of any any systems that had to struggle with that kind of situation, how they resolved that? Specifically, how they went about reducing benefits.
For public sector plans,
coming along with it.
Yeah, the only one I know of in a public sector situation that reduced some benefits was the state of Rhode Island, and they had some difficulty making them stick. The public sector generally has just either raised taxes or taken money from other parts of their particular government. The state of Kentucky, their KERS system is currently about 17% funded. And the legislature has enacted a bill that will increase the contribution rate to something around 90% of pay to get them out of their funding situation. The other things they have done is they have limited COLAs. They've done things like that, which this system has already done and enacted as far as the benefits. No one has had to take the drastic measures of this because of complete lack of support by the central government. Now,
Did you say 90%, did you say?
Say that one more time.
90.
For Kentucky, did you say 90
Yes.
or 19?
90.
Okay.
I mean, they've got, actually in the Kentucky law right now, there's one proposal for an 83% contribution, another proposal for a 93% of pay contribution, and I'm not sure they've actually adopted one of them yet, but it will be significantly greater than what they are used to paying, which is around 30 to 40%.
Okay.
Alvin, do we have an example of a multi-employer plan that actually reduced benefits and it stuck?
Yeah, I mean, there are several multi-employer plans that have applied for benefit reductions and have been approved and are actually being implemented right now. But it's a little different in multi-employer system because in the multi-employer system, when a plan goes under, there is the Pension Benefit Guarantee Corporation that guarantees the benefit. And so the way the Multi-Employer Pension Reform Act is framed is, either, you wait for that eventuality and get a very, very reduced benefit at that PBGC guarantee, or you try to, get a reduction that is smaller than what the reduction would have been under the PBGC guarantee. Now, some systems or some plans have tried to come up with different ways to structure the reduction in order to address equity on their population. But a lot of times that equity question is very difficult to prove because in the multi-employer system, in order for a plan to implement these reductions, the board has to apply to the Department of Treasury. And the Department of Treasury have to go through that application. It's a long process, and they have to approve it, including any proposals that look at a structure that will make it equitable, like quote unquote, on their population. But most of the time, what they've done, because it's really difficult to prove what is equitable or not, what they have done is basically just look at the PBGC guarantee formula and then apply some kind of scaling of that formula. So, for example, they would just say, people are going to be cut based on the PBGC formula, but 200% of that. So this way, it gives them an incentive that instead of getting a huge reduction all the way down to the PBGC guarantee cut, they'll get a benefit twice that.
And in our situation with GERS, that's actually similar. If the board and the legislature, the governor, if they do nothing, then you're going to hit bottom when the assets run out, and you're going to be paying about 40 cents on the dollar, as opposed to taking action earlier where you still may be able to pay 55 cents on the dollar or even closer to 60 cents on the dollar, depending on the situation.
Okay. All right. Those are questions I have. I don't have any more questions, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Okay, this portion of the meeting will be closed to the public for matters pertaining to trade secrets, financial, commercial, and legal matters. So I need a motion to go into executive session.
So move.
Second.
Trustee Carwood,
Yes.
Trustee Bowery,
Yes.
Trustee Cohen,
Yes.
Trustee Liger,
Yeah.
Trustee McDonald, absent. Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Calendar,
Yes.
6 yes, 1 absent.
Okay, so we're going to take 5 minutes.
All right. Yep. See you in 5.
Mr. Chair, in regards to executive session, my recommendation is, since we have so many people on the call, and I'm not sure if the media is on the call with the Zoom, but I think in the future we need to have a different call-in number for executive session.
You can take it off.
Makes sense.
I think you can put people in the waiting room.
Huh?
I hear you.
If you're the host, you can put people in the waiting room.
Yeah, there's an option to put everybody else on the side, all the staff and anybody outside of the trustees.
Well, I would like certain of the staff to stay because for the Havenside Mall, they are the part of the oversight committee, so I have
You
asked them
determine who you put in the meeting room, in the outside room.
I have asked them to stay.
So Sean could move everybody else out.
What do you mean?
All right.